Hey YouTube, what's up? It's Jillian. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing part 2 of CAPS, or the Common Application Process series, and today is going to be a walkthrough breakdown of the common application and how to fill it out. If you didn't catch part 1, it is how to ask your teachers for rec letters, and I will put it right here, and I will also link it down below in the description, so definitely go check that out if you haven't asked your teachers yet. I went back into my application and took tons of screenshots and videos and everything like that, and I'm going to be putting them right here on the screen so then you can follow along while you're filling out your application. I don't want to waste any more time with the intro, so let's just get right into it. The very first step is to make an account. Some schools actually have something that you can make it through. Maybe they want you to make it through your school email. My school didn't have that, so I just made it with my personal email. All you have to do is Google Common App or Common Application, and then it should come up right away as the first link, and then click on that and it should bring up the home page of the Common Application. If you already have an account, go ahead and log in right now, but if you don't have an account, click the Create an Account button and I will walk you through that right now. So after you click Create an Account, it'll come up with a couple of different buttons with categories on it. You want to choose first year student if you're a first year student, and if you're a transfer student, click the transfer button. Next, you need to fill out a couple of different boxes such as your email, name, and other questions that it's going to ask you. Make sure to choose a good email for this. This should be one that you check pretty often. And then just go ahead and choose a password and fill in your first and last name. The next thing you should have to fill out is your phone number, date of birth, and address. The next question is a yes or no location-based question, and the very last one is just when you're planning on starting college. And that should be all you need to do, so you can just go ahead and click create an account. Also, if I'm looking down periodically through this video, it's because I have my laptop down there and I'm just looking at my notes that I wrote. Once you get in, you'll see a couple of different tabs. These are Dashboard, My Colleges, Common App, College Search, and Financial Aid Resources. Dashboard is definitely one of the most important ones because that is where you'll find all of the colleges and how you'll fill out the application. Of course, my dashboard already has some colleges on it because I already applied to them, but yours is probably empty right now, so let's go ahead and add a college. You're going to click on the College Search tab and you'll find a bar where you can type in any college name. So go ahead and type in a name of a college that you want to do. I just chose UPenn because that was one of the ones that I was going to apply to, but I ended up not applying to it. You can repeat this process as many times as you'd like until you have all the colleges you want to apply to on your dashboard. The next thing we're going to do is actually fill out the Common App. So what you're going to do is go over to the Common App tab, and this is where you'll find a bunch of questions that we are going to fill out right now. So the very first part of this is going to be the profile, and this will pop up right when you click on the Common App tab, so this is super easy to find. This section is going to have stuff like your first, middle, and last name, any suffixes you have, any nicknames or any other names you may use. Here you'll also enter your sex, and they give you the opportunity to share more about your gender identity if you'd like, which is really great and inclusive of them as well. And the last thing is just your date of birth. At the end of each section, there's going to be a blue continue button that you just click to go on to the next section. After you click that button, it'll take you to the address section where you just enter in your address and if you have any alternate mail addresses that you'd like to use. Click continue and let's move to the next section. This next section is going to be your contact details, and this is going to be your phone number and if you have any other alternate phone number you want to use. Next is demographics, and this is going to be your religion and if you have served in the armed forces. If you're Hispanic or Latino, it's also going to ask you a little bit more about your race. So the first one is if you are Hispanic or Latino. The next one is going to ask you to check all the boxes of your race. It does let you select more than one, which is really nice if you are multiracial like I am, so I selected Asian and white. After that, it's going to pop up with a little more opportunity to describe and specify your background. Of course, at the end of this section, it does ask you if you have fulfilled this section to your satisfaction, which basically means that you don't actually have to fill out anything about your religion or your race if you don't feel like it. This next section is geography, and it's just going to be more about where you were born. You can fill out the country you were born in and the city, and if you were born in the United States, it's going to ask you which state, and it's also going to ask you how many years you have lived in the US, as well as how many years you've lived outside the US. Alright, let's click continue. This next section asks you how many languages you are proficient in, and it asks you which languages, and also gives you the opportunity to specify how you are proficient in them, such as if you read, write, or speak them at home. This next section is pretty important because it asks for your citizenship and your social security number, and this is important because you have to fill these out to get financial aid from the colleges you're applying to, so make sure to double check this one to make sure you get it right. The last tab on this section is going to be the Common App fee waiver, and this is just a yes or no question asking if you would like your fee waived for your application. If you need it, make sure to check yes, because I've heard they're actually very accommodating with this and they don't want to stand as a barrier to anyone who wants to apply to college. Alright, let's go ahead and click continue, and it should take us right to the next section. The next section is going to be about your family, and it's going to be all about your parents and if they went to college and where they work now, and also if you have any siblings, it's going to ask about them as well. The very first tab is about your household, and this is just going to be your parents' marital status and also who you live with and if you have any children. Then let's move on to the next tab. It's going to be your first parent, and you can choose whoever you want. I just chose my dad to do first. So it's going to have quite a bit of information on this section, so I'm just going to read it off to you guys really quickly. So the first thing you're going to do is choose parent 1 type, if they're living, their prefix, first name, middle initial, and last name, if they have any former surname, and suffix. Next, you're going to give their birth country and also their preferred phone number and email. You're also going to fill out their address, and if it is the same address as yours, if it is not, you're going to be filling out their address as well. Next is their occupation, employment status, and position and title, and also if they are currently employed or retired from a college or university. The next thing is going to be their name of current employer, education level, and the total number of institutions they attended, and after you fill out that, it'll pop up with the correct number of institution information that you need to fill out. Wow, that was a mouthful. There is a ton of information about your parents, so ask them to help you out if you need any help. After you completely fill out all that section and all the schools that they attended, all their work information and stuff like that, you can go ahead and click continue. The next section is parent 2, and this is essentially the same as parent 1, so just fill that out again, but for your other parent if you'd like. The last tab is going to be about your siblings, and this is going to ask how many siblings you have, as well as their name, middle initial, and last name, their age, their relationship with you, and their education level, and if they're in college, you're going to provide the name of their college and also their degree that they earned. This is also going to ask for their college start date and an end date. And that is the last question from that section, so we are going to move on to the next section by clicking that blue continue button. This next section is about education, so this time it is your education that you're filling out. The first thing you need to fill out is your school, and this is actually really easy to find all the information because all you have to do is look up your school and it should bring up all the other information you need from it. The next thing is going to be the date of your entry, if it's a boarding school, did or will you graduate from this school, graduation date, if you have any early graduation, late graduation, gap years, anything like that. It's going to ask you a little question about that. You can just click the box that applies to you. The next thing is going to be about your counselor at your high school, so this is going to be the counselor's prefix, their first, middle, initial, and last name, their job title, as well as their email and phone number. Then you're going to go to the next section, and it's going to ask you if you've attended any other secondary or high schools. I didn't attend any other high schools other than the one that I listed before, so I just put 0 here. This next section is going to ask you if you've taken any coursework at a college or university, and I actually just put 0 because I haven't done that, but if you have, you are going to fill out a bit more information here. So the first thing you are going to do is indicate how many colleges you have taken coursework from, and once you fill that out, it's going to pop up with more information you can fill out. The first one being that you are going to find the college that you have taken coursework at, and you're also going to fill out if it has been dual enrollment in high school, a summer program, or a credit awarded directly by a college. The next thing you're going to fill out is the college one from date, which basically means when did you start taking that course there, and right after that you're going to fill out when you stopped taking the course there and the degree that you earned from it if applicable. Then you're going to click continue and go to the next section, which is grades. This section is going to ask you a bit more about your graduating class from your high school, and it's going to ask for your class size and also a little information about your rank. I know a lot of high schools don't actually have a rank, so it's going to give you a couple of different options to accommodate for that, such as exact, decile, quintile, quartile, or none. For me, I had the exact number because my high school just does it like that, so I put that, but if you have a different way, then you can click the other options and it'll bring up more information about that. So next you're going to fill in your class rank or class rank percentage if that applies to you, and also the rank weighting, which just means is it based on a weighted GPA or an unweighted GPA, and of course right after that you're going to fill out more information about your GPA. This is going to ask you your GPA scale reporting, and mine was on a 5-point scale, and it's going to ask you for your cumulative GPA and also if this was weighted or unweighted. This next section is going to be your current or most recent coursework, and the first question is just to ask you how many courses you are taking this year. So for me it was 8 courses. It's going to ask you your course scheduling system, and mine is on semester, but you can have trimester or quarter system as well. Next they are going to have you input all of your coursework from this year in a very specific and kind of confusing way. So I'm just going to show you a quick picture right here of what the grouping is, and you'll know what I mean if you are on the application right now. Basically what it looks like is it's all jumbled together, so you don't really know which questions you're answering for which course. So a good rule of thumb is that it always goes title, level if applicable, which means AP, pre-AP, on level, all that stuff, and then your course schedule, which means either full year or just a semester or a trimester or a quarter. So that's the order. It's going to go title, level, and then how long you're taking it, all the way down for your courses, and just just make sure to double check that you don't get them confused and accidentally mess up the order, because I definitely did that when I was filling it out and it gets super confusing. So here you're just going to input all of the coursework that you've done, and then after you do that, you're going to click the continue button. This next section is going to give you an opportunity to enter in any honors you have received throughout your high school experience, and it does limit you to 5, so if you have more than 5, then just make sure to narrow those down, and I will include something later in the video that helps you if you have more than 5 honors that you want to communicate to them. The first thing you're going to do is enter in how many honors you're going to put in, and I entered 5 because I had 5. This section is also going to have a very particular way that you want to put in your honors, but it is much more self-explanatory. So basically all you do is you put in the title and the grade level that you received it at, and the level of recognition, which ranges from school to state to national to international. And you're just going to fill this out all the way down in that particular order until you get to the end of your honors, and then click continue. This next section is going to ask you if you've received any assistance with your application, such as from a counselor or advisor, and I just put 0. But if you had somebody look over your application and give you a lot of advice, then you can go ahead and put them in. I really don't think it's super necessary unless they were extremely involved in your application though, so I would recommend just putting 0 unless you think it's absolutely necessary. The very last thing on this section is going to be your future plans, which is your career interest and the highest degree you intend to earn. So I put engineer and MBA, which is a Master of Business Administration. Of course, these have tons of different options, so you can feel free to look through the list and find the one that is most applicable to you. And when you're done with that section, make sure to click continue so it can take you to the next section. This next section is going to be the tests you have taken, and this can be anything like the ACT, SAT, subject tests, AP tests, or anything else like that, and it's going to list the full list on there. It's going to ask you to indicate if you would like to report any tests, which you should probably say yes, because most schools actually require the tests. This section actually has the possibility of changing a bit for the 2020-2021 application period, and it is because a couple of colleges have actually started to drop their SAT and ACT requirements, so you have the possibility of maybe not checking yes for this section, but I would recommend checking yes if you can, because sending your SAT and ACT scores is always good, and if you are not sending those, you still should send any AP tests that you have. Below that, it's going to indicate all the different tests you wish to report, and I reported my ACT, SAT, subject tests, and AP tests. It also has a question for international students about these standardized tests, so you're going to want to read that if you're an international student and just check yes or no. So if you're reporting the ACT, then definitely listen to this part. If you are not reporting the ACT, I'll put a time right there that is going to tell you to skip to the next section for the SAT. For the ACT section, you're going to want to click on the drop down arrow to indicate how many ACT tests you want to report. I only reported 1. It's going to ask if you took the ACT with the writing, and if you are looking at which tests you should take, you should definitely take the tests with writing. Always take it with writing, because it's always better to take it with the writing and not need it for college than not take it and then actually need it for college, and then you are just stuck and very frazzled because you don't have the test and you need to take it and you're already in the application period. Then after that, it's going to ask the number of future ACT tests you're expected to sit in. So basically, if you do want to take tests in the future that you haven't gotten your scores back for, you're going to indicate that right here by clicking the drop down arrow and clicking the number of tests you expect to take in the future. If you are not expecting to take any, which was my case, then you're just going to click 0. Next, it's going to ask for your highest composite score and then the composite date that you took this on. Next, it's going to actually let you super score your ACT. I actually didn't end up doing this because all of my highest scores were on the same date, but if you do, then listen up right here, because this is how you do it. So for your highest English score, you enter that in, and then you click the date that you received that highest English score. And you're going to do this for the rest of the sections with math, reading, and science, but you can actually enter in different dates for each of these, and that is how you super score with the different tests. And of course, you are also going to enter in your writing one. I actually forgot about that section. This next section is going to be the SAT, and basically it's going to be about the same as the ACT with a little bit of minor changes. So the first thing you're going to do is click the drop down and indicate how many past SAT scores you wish to report. So I only reported 1, and it's going to ask if you took the SAT essay, and again, you definitely want to take the essay because it's always better to take it and not need it than not take it and need it. This is going to ask the number of future SAT sittings you expect to take. This is going to to be whether you need to take future ones because you didn't get the score you want, or if you haven't taken it yet and you need to take it in the future, this is where you're going to say that. Of course, by the time you submit your application, you will most likely already have your SAT and ACT scores. So like I said in the ACT explanation, this actually allows you to super score, which basically means that it's going to take the highest scores from each date. The first thing you're going to do is enter in your highest reading and writing score, and then when you got that score, and the same thing for your math score, and you're going to enter in the date, and it lets you put in a different date from your other one if you received a higher score on a different day. And the same goes for the essay. You're going to enter in the highest essay score you received as well as the date that you received that score. The next section is going to be any subject tests that you've taken, and I highly recommend you check the requirements for your college if you need to take any subject tests, because some colleges require them, some recommend them, and some you just completely don't need them. So you definitely want to check that out. I only reported one to most colleges, and it was the Math 2 subject test. So all I had to do is indicate how many SAT subject tests I've taken, which is 1, and then I said when I took it, the subject, which was Math Level 2, and also the score. The next section is going to be AP subject tests, and this one is kind of a big one if you have taken a lot of AP tests like I have. So I indicated how many tests I have taken as well as how many tests I plan to take, which came out to a total of 12. This is basically going to go in a similar order as that other section where you enter in your classes. So I will just lay out the correct order for you guys right here, and it is going to be the date taken, or when you plan to take it, the subject, and the score. So I just went down and entered in all of the subject tests, including the ones that you plan to take. Now, I was a little bit confused about this because I was like, oh, I don't have the score for the ones that I'm going to take this year, and not to worry, because you actually just enter them in, you enter the date that you plan to take them, and then you just leave the score blank. And that is actually the end of the testing section. So the next section is going to be the activities section. And this is going to be a huge section, so I'm going to give you a walkthrough of how to do this section, but I'm also going to make a different video on how to sharpen this section because this is an extremely important section, probably the most important section other than your essays. I would say essays are most important. Activities are definitely the cherry on top. They are what could push you over the edge, so this needs to be sharp. So of course the first question is if you have any activities to report, and you definitely want to say yes for this. And I really think the cool thing about the activities section is that it lists a bunch of examples of what you could put on here, and it doesn't always have to be academic or sports related. And I really like that they include this because it allows you to go a little bit outside of the box in what activities you want to include. For example, I actually included that I play the ukulele and piano, which is something that is not a typical activity, but it is still something that's really important to me, so I'm glad that I was able to include it in my application. So the activities section is a bit more organized in the way that you are able to put them in. The very first thing you want to note is that it does tell you to list your activities in the order of importance to you, but the good news is that you can also enter them in, and it has arrows on the top right corner of each activity box that you can switch the order, so don't worry if you enter them in and they are not the order that you want them to be in. So I'm just going to walk you through how to enter in the activities. The first thing is the activity type, and this could be science and math, social justice, work paid, any organizations you've been in, theater, drama, other club activities, anything you like. It probably has it in that list, and if it doesn't, you can definitely find a category that it can fit, kind of. The next thing you want to fill out is the position, leadership, description, and organization name. Like I said before, I'm going to have a different video that details more into this, but I'm going to give you a tip right here, and it is to get the same organization of this box in every single activity you have. So what I did is I put the position or title that I held, comma, and then the organization name, and this helps the readers when they're reading your application super quickly to distinguish which is the position and which is the organization. So the next box on here is going to be the description of the activity, and you have a max amount of characters of 150. What I did for this box is I actually opened a Google Docs and typed in there instead, because I wanted to make sure that I'm getting the most out of my characters and really maximizing the amount of details I can put into the description. You want to make sure that this section is really sharp and you really distinguish what you did in these activities and how you contributed to this organization in some way. The next thing is just going to be the participation grade levels, timing of participation, the hours you spent during the week, and how many weeks you spent per year, and also if you want to participate in a similar activity in college. Now you're going to use this same exact format to fill out all of the boxes in this section. And remember, you can easily switch around the order of these activities by using the arrows in the top right hand corner of each activity box. Then you're going to click continue. This section section is going to be the common application essay, which is the big 650-word essay, and I will have tons of other videos about this, but I just wanted to go over quickly what you need in this section. So the first thing you're going to do is just check I understand to that top little paragraph, and it's basically just saying that you need the common application for some colleges but not all, but if a college doesn't require it, you can still send it, which is super helpful. Then you're going to scroll down and you'll see all the different prompts that it has, and I will break down these prompts in another video, but there are tons of prompts and you can definitely find any prompt to fit the essay that you'd like to write. Below the prompts, it has a box where you copy paste your essay into. The next thing is going to be a disciplinary history, and this is basically just going to ask you if you have ever been responsible for a disciplinary violation, and you can check yes or no. The very last tab on this section is going to be the additional information section, and this is where you can put any information that you have not already communicated in your application. This section is completely optional and you do not have to fill it out if you think that you have already given enough information about yourself to the colleges, but if you feel you've left out anything, then you can put it in this box right here. I will probably make another video about what you can put in this box because there is a ton of stuff that you could potentially put in here. For my application, all I put in that box was a little bit of information about a startup I was involved in and an independent study that I was doing in my senior year. You do have 650 words for this box, but if possible, you want to keep this box very short. Essay readers just really don't want to read another 650 essay in your application because they already had to read your Common App, and they have so many essays that they need to read that they really do not need another essay unless it is absolutely vital. And you can go ahead and click continue, and it brings you to the last section, which is the courses and grades. Some schools, which was literally all of my schools except for USC, don't even require this section, but I did have to fill it out because I had one school that required it. So this just asks you if you are able to obtain a copy of your transcript and also that it shows the grades that you have completed. If you don't have any colleges that require this section, then you are good to go and you do not need to fill this out. Please don't fill it out. It actually takes a really long time, but if you do have a college that requires it, just keep following along. So you're going to go to the first section, and what you're going to do here is you're going to click edit 9th grade, and it's going to pop up with another box that has more information that you can fill in about your courses and grades. The first thing you're going to do is enter in your school name, and then you're going to say what year you took 9th grade in, the grading scale, and the schedule. And then below that, it's going to have boxes that you're going to fill in your classes and grades in. So the first thing is the subject, course name, course level, and then your semester grades and semester credits if you are on the semester system. If you are on the trimester or quarter system, it's going to have some different boxes that you can fill out based on those systems instead. Below these boxes, it's going to have a button that says add courses, and if you have more courses than the boxes have on there, then you can click add courses and it'll put another box on there that you can type into. And below that, it's going to have a white button that's going to say add courses from another transcript. You're going to want to click this button if you split your year between two different high schools and you have courses to report from both of the high schools. Next, you're going to click continue, and it's going to say completed courses and grades entered and incomplete courses and grades entered. It's going to also have a number there. If you didn't enter some of the grades, you'll know because it'll say a number there. And of course, you're going to go down and do that for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. But for 12th grade, it's going to be a little bit different because you already entered in your 12th grade classes in the other section. So for this section, it's going to just ask you a quick question that is, do you have 12th grade courses listed on your transcript that have been issued official transcript grades? And you're going to click yes or no. I clicked no because I didn't receive my transcript grades at the time that I was filling this out. The next thing is going to ask you if you have any other courses that you'd like to report, such as if you took any courses in 8th grade that counted on your high school transcript, or if you took any summer classes. I actually did have 3 courses that I needed to report, so I did the same thing as the other sections and I clicked edit courses and I added these courses as well. Then you're just going to check the box at the end of this section that says that you have indicated all the courses you've taken in high school. And at the end of that, it has a go back to my colleges button that you can click, and you have completed the common application. Yay! So thank you so much for watching. I've been talking for like over an hour. This is really, really long. So if you've made it this far, I am so proud of you because this has been a very long video. I really hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, be sure to comment them down below. I always answer every single question, and I want to make sure that you guys have enough information to fill out your application. Make sure to leave a like if you found this helpful, and subscribe to my channel if you want more college-related videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!